Coming to you from BAFDraft Studios in Bagram Air Field, Afghanistan, it is BAFDraft episode 62. With your host,
Matt Zerby,
and your co-host,
Rob Flowers.
I'm Gary Wilkinson, the producer, and we have a special guest this week.
My name's Gage.
How are you doing?
I'm alright.
All right.
Wait, hey, Gary, where was your stupid little...
Oh, I couldn't come up with one this week.
You just...
I was too busy, man. Trust me, I was thinking.
I don't know if that's worse, though.
Was you thinking as it started, or before this started?
No, I know what I'm gonna do beforehand, so
He has like the 5 seconds before he starts talking.
No. I plan it out. Like I'll sit there and ponder on it all day. I just didn't have enough time today to do that. So
1 mana blue spell. Just play it.
Huh?
It's a 1 mana blue spell. Ponder. Just play it.
Ponder. Oh.
He doesn't play islands. No, that's you don't play islands.
I don't play islands.
Oh, we're all over the place today.
I saw the new pictures of the new lands. The better quality ones. I do like them now.
The borderless ones.
Yeah.
They're very nice.
Yeah.
You mean these ones?
Yes, these ones right here. Woo!
Yeah, you guys are more than welcome to be wrong on that, because I even saw the new pretty ones.
Yeah, I like those.
No.
They look terrible.
Yeah, I mean
They look absolutely horrible.
They look like I went on Photoshop and put them on a card.
It looks like a Kickstarter that's barely about to make its money, and they're like, "Hey, look, we're showing this awesome art." I mean, it doesn't look like magic art. It looks like some kind of digital knockoff garbage.
Yeah, it
Huh.
looks like a
CGI.
picture that they just transposed onto a card.
No, it looks like they were trying to make it look like a picture. It looks like a picture of somebody going, you know what would be a cool picture? Is if we made a picture of a picture.
Yeah, because I mean, I love the other full arts that are out now. I don't care if there's a border on them or not, but just the art style that goes with them. I think they look amazing, and especially if it's coming out in an unset, there should be something goofy, like I don't know. That's the whole premise of those sets to me. So I mean, an island, there'd be like a giant goblin face on the side of it.
Yeah.
That they had painted.
The last ones didn't have anything really goofy.
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't, but I'm just saying. I don't know. To me, that's what it would be. Because I mean, if you look at the last couple of full arts, they follow the realm that they're a part of and stuff. So
well, the last ones actually. Well, no, the last unset, they look like something, and they had them. They made murals of put them on the walls. They were amazing.
That's what I liked. I like the way those look.
These don't look anything like. They don't look like something I'd want to hang in my house. Much less.
What was the artist on them?
There's probably different ones.
See, it wasn't John Avon. That's really screwed up.
Oh yeah, probably. I mean, I think even what was it? The last Commander set, not this current Commander set, but the one before that, with those lands were amazing, like the Star lands, all those.
Yeah, they weren't bad.
That was beautiful.
yeah. So weird little side topic. Let's I guess get started.
All right, so we're gonna do Geek of the Week.
Geek of the Week. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have a sound thing apparently that goes with it.
Do we?
Yeah, I don't know. I've
Well,
never
he
actually listened to
does.
one of our own podcasts.
It's terrible,
What
but you
is
can't
this?
talk about the podcast
Yeah, you can't talk about the podcast on the podcast, but he will tell you when we're doing something wrong.
on the
You
podcast.
can't talk about the podcast on the podcast. That'd be
this-
No, the
strictly
rule-
outside the
it's
rules,
the rule.
right?
You should have never brought that up, Gary.
The rule
ever.
is you can't talk about your podcast on the podcast. Gary heard about this on a podcast about podcasts.
So I will from now on never reference BAFDraft in any of the future BAFDraft drafts we do.
No,
on
no, but
BAFDraft.
if you're not physically on the podcast, you can talk about the podcast.
Yeah, but it's
So, like, you can
during
tell
the
people-
recording of a podcast.
That's
but
like
during the recording
we're
of
going
the
into a
podcast-
full minute here of
well, I mean, this is
something-
completely
this is
relevant.
interesting.
though.
This is
This is content, buddy. You can't be complaining about content.
So we've done 2 topics now. One was the terrible land they decided to do for this unset, and this one is not talking about podcasts on the podcast, which we always do. We do it ever since he said not to talk about the podcast on the podcast.
spend at
we
least
always
5
spend
minutes.
at least.
That's a full exaggeration. Like this is the longest ever.
no.
Everyone
throughout
who listens,
the whole thing.
all of our normal fans, our one fan out there, he knows. He knows that
And
we do this.
He's fast forwarding through this part to get to the
Exactly.
D&D anyway.
Okay, well let's get into the Gage interview.
To get to D&D, is that what you said? All right, so our Geek of the Week here is Gage.
No, he's in the military. Yeah,
Okay.
we just can't. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Who is a soldier in the military
Yep.
and is a member of BAFDraft.
Yes, I am.
All right. So we do a Geek of the Week where we ask, because of course you've heard our podcast before, so you know how the Geek of the Week goes.
Absolutely.
All right,
I
so-
totally know what's about to happen.
What we do is we ask questions about just to get a little bit to know you, so that the listeners have an idea of your perspective. So starting off, how did you get into Magic?
Actually, a good friend of mine.
You know this is video recorded and people can see you guys.
That's the whole point of it. That's why I did it.
I don't even know what he's trying to say.
I'm wanting to see if you got another monster, man, or Red Bull.
Of course.
Can I have one?
I mean, this is a public show. We don't want to put that on the internet.
Come on, man.
That's a different website entirely, buddy.
Yeah, you can't say what you're like beverages, right? Unless
Yeah, you
have-
can. We're not advertising or bashing anything.
Yeah, I guess I can.
Can I,
Okay, continue.
anyways. So,
Oh, yes.
It's a real man one too. This is gonna be a good one. Oh
What is
yeah,
happening to
this is the greatest thing ever.
Oh my word!
So continue. I apologize.
Choo choo train wreck.
anyways. So I actually really hated Magic for a long time because of the community that we had around it.
Okay.
But I don't remember what day it was, but about around Shadows, very into Shadows, Eldritch Moon was just about to come out, and one of my buddies was like, "Here, I buy you a pack, open it. I'm gonna get you to play this game." And I'm like, "No, you're not." And I open the pack up, and I'm like, "Oh, what's this foil Planeswalker thing?" It's like a foil Avacyn, my first ever pack of Magic ever opened.
Yeah.
He's like, "That's like a $45 card." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." And so I traded that $45 card, and I got a couple packs, and I opened up those packs, and I got more stuff, and I traded those packs for more stuff,
Nice.
stuff. And then I got to the point where I'm like, I can buy a commander deck with how much I've got. Because I was just getting extremely lucky to open up packs.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah, buy a commander deck. So I bought a commander deck. And that's where we started.
Okay. So you're relatively new then to Magic.
Yes.
Okay. And when did you start hating Magic?
I started hating Magic not because of the game itself, because we had certain players that originally where I started to play at in that community that were not the best, to say the least.
Well, I just mean so how did you know that you hated? Like, how did you know there were bad people? Like, obviously you must have been around that environment, that community.
I just say that they didn't make the game fun. They didn't make it enjoyable for new people to step in and be like, "Hey, I like to play a game. Would you like teaching me?" They'd be like, no, bye."
No, I think what he's getting at is like, when did you learn that Magic was a thing? Like you're saying, you started playing at the end of Shadows, but like
One day,
how far back before that did you even know it existed? Like, I mean, with me and Gary, it's ancient times. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there's an F-bomb. But I mean, I started playing when Ice Age was still a thing.
I probably didn't know about Magic until I got really into like War Machines, was another game I play.
Okay.
Sponsoring that now.
He was. I don't think he was born when Ice Age came out.
Whoa, I was born in '95, which is like a year after Magic started. Okay.
That's when Ice Age came out.
Oh my lord. I think I'm done with the podcast now.
But no, probably around like 3 years ago is when I figured out Magic actually existed.
Okay. So I mean, do you have? I guess so. In the same vein of where you started as a player, do you have other nerd hobbies?
Oh, absolutely. I played D&D a lot. I played all sorts of video games, League of Legends, love League of Legends, any of the FPS stuff. Tabletop games, I play War Machine really competitively.
Okay.
I started that back up on my last deployment, so I've been still addicted to that game.
Okay.
And now it's just Magic, pretty much.
Awesome. Oh, we've got a convert here.
Yeah.
All right. So, what is your favorite color combination? Like, if you were to go into a random draft completely empty, what is like your what colors do you gravitate toward? Not draft, but just if you were to somebody was to say, "Hey, play this deck," what do you gravitate towards?
So my 3-color combination is Esper, blue, black, white.
Okay.
If I had to play one color, it's blue. And if I have to take 2 colors, it's blue, black.
Okay.
Green is fun, but it's got creatures, and creature things aren't my thing.
Okay.
And then red is just like, red is always that splash color for me. It's never my primary color. I refuse to like do anything except for a burn, because burn's a fun deck. But it's just like, hey, I have red in the deck, kind of.
I think Flowers is rolling over in his grave.
No. I mean, I would have to be dead for it to roll over in the grave.
Well, like in like future.
Metaphorically, like futuristic.
No, I mean, everybody has their own play style. It's just
the exact opposite.
Exactly. I mean, blue for me is not even it might as well not be there.
But you like creatures. That's the big thing. You're big into creatures.
Most of the
Come
time,
on,
yeah.
Crawworm.
No, Craw Giant. Craw
Yeah,
Giant
Craw
is the
Giant.
thing.
Yeah.
Because like when I first got in, I played Commander only.
Okay.
So blue, like when you're playing like with the competitive people for Commander, they just play blue, and like you get used to the blue at that point, the control aspects, you know. And then one of my other buddies that played Commander, he got me into Legacy right off the bat because he had a huge collection.
Okay.
And so again, blue really prominent in Legacy. And so when I finally got into Modern and Standard, I was like, I want to play blue, and it wasn't the same anymore.
No.
There was a lot more suffering involved.
Yes, it is not the same.
As well, there should be.
All right, so out of all the Magic cards that you've played with, that you've seen, that you've experienced, is there one Magic card that captures you as a player? Maybe not one you think, oh, this is the most powerful one, but one that is you as a card.
Me as a card. That is an interesting question.
Mm-hmm. That's why we ask it. Only the best questions on our podcast.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it'd have to be Snapcaster Mage.
Okay.
Because, A, I like doing things on the spot, instant speed. Flash is amazing. B, I like the utility. I can do anything with a Snapcaster Mage. I can ambush Viper. I've ambushed Viper Snapcaster Mage so many times.
Okay.
Or it's just like, you know what, I'm going to play Snapcaster Mage. I'm going to draw a card off Serum Visions. Like, it's so versatile, it's adaptable, and it fits in every blue deck.
Okay. Awesome. What is your most favorite format in Magic?
If I could play any if Magic was a game that had this magical thing called like maybe no reserve list or none of this stuff, it would be Vintage, because I've played 1 or 2 Vintage games in my lifetime and they were amazing.
Okay.
But right now it's Legacy. I love Legacy.
Okay. Legacy is your favorite.
Yeah.
What is your least favorite format?
Standard.
Standard is your least favorite.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I don't rotating formats really cool, really spicy. Like every time something rotates, something comes in, it really changes up the format. And I think the more I play Standard, the more I'd actually enjoy it. But I hate the whole like concept of, hey, it's about to rotate 4 sets. I really don't want to be playing Standard at that point.
Okay.
I want to be getting rid of those 4 sets of cards that aren't going to be worth as much.
What do you think about going into, with the transition to, because obviously this one where it's losing 4 is a big deal, and that's because the transition from the 6 months or the 16 months and to the 2 years, and that they switched it and then back again. Yeah. So do you think going forward it'll be something you'll get back into? It's just this transition is so steep.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the transition that's forced it.
Okay.
I think as soon as Ixalan comes out and all the new sets are fresh and live, like I really probably will start getting back into it, especially when Dominaria comes out, because I'm a big fan of that plane and all that stuff.
All right. Last question we have is, what is your favorite basic land art?
Urza Saga Island, the one with the lightning storm.
Okay.
Because I like storm.
Those are nice.
There you go. That's our Geek of the Week. See, that was pretty painless, right?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit painless. A lot of it not.
All right. So why?
You're not going to smell them?
I have to hold the microphone so I can't open them and go through
You
them.
can always put it in your
Here,
mouth.
I'll hold it for you. I got you.
No, because then he's going to smell the card, and it's
And then,
just weird.
it's really weird. Okay, so we're gonna do a pack.
You like the smell of packs when you open them, right? The ink smell?
Not standard packs. Come on.
Oh, duh.
Okay, we're gonna do pack one, pick one of Hour of Devastation. We do our drafts a little bit different, or our pack one, pick one a little bit different. So basically, the first card out of the pack is your pack one, pick one, and basically what you're doing from there is you're upgrading. Like, is this card an upgrade? Is this card not an upgrade? That way, we go over all the cards, we talk about them, get a little bit more depth as opposed to just saying, oh no, that's just garbage. Yeah.
They're all garbage.
So this is for draft pack one, pick one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're not talking about how they are in standard.
I mean, you'll probably pull, Force of Will, some shit,
I hope.
Yeah, that would be very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Thoughtseize? Yeah, it's Hour of Devastation. Yeah.
But also keep the language to like a
dull roar.
A dull roar.
Oh,
dull roar.
my bad.
That's what we're going for.
I blame the army.
Yeah. All right. Avon Reed. Oh my word, we lost sound.
Here it
Right as I was
goes.
talking.
Nah, that's fine. Just unplug that and plug it back in on the back.
Keep going, Matt.
I can't think when it does this.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Avon Reed Stalker for 3 and a blue. It's a creature bird warrior with flash flying, and it's a 2/3. I don't like the card very much.
It's just overcosted. If it had a 4 toughness, it could actually block something and not die. Probably pretty good.
If it was a 3-2, would you feel that differently?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm
a
thinking
clock.
too.
It's a huge clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 3/2, a flyer on for 4 and
with
flash.
flash,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's actually pretty good.
And why didn't they do that?
Yeah, that's actually yeah.
Now, does it being a warrior mean anything in this? Has it
No.
ever meant anything?
Not for
It's
blue.
interesting. I
Not-
never
yeah,
thought
not for
about it
blue.
until I just read it just now. All right, we got next is Disposal Mummy. It's for 2 and a white. It's a creature zombie jackal. And when Disposal Mummy enters the battlefield, exile a target card from an opponent's graveyard. It is a 2/3. Personally, I'd rather play the Disposal Mummy.
Yeah, I would too.
It costs 1 less. You maybe throw it in your sideboard for like get rid of an eternalized card. you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, I think we're all in agreement. Let's upgrade.
Correct.
All right.
Affirmative.
All right, so next we have Kenra Scrapper for 2 and a red. It's a creature jackal warrior. It has menace. And then you may exert Kenra Scrapper when it attacks. And if you do, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. It is a 2/3. So it's a 2/3 that can become a 4/3 with menace.
I like that.
That is a huge upgrade, and I think we're going to be hard-pressed to find a better card than that.
Yeah.
For a while, anyway.
It's a red card that you play in all your red decks that are aggro-y. I mean,
Oh, and not just play it, you're happy about them, too.
Very.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hate when I see them on the board. I'm just like, oh, all right, I'm
You
getting
also
hit for 4.
don't die to magma spray, which is nice.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
All right, next we have Tragic Lesson for 2 and a blue. It's instant, draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you return a land you control to its owner's hand.
Bad strategic plannings.
I actually like it because it can get the cycling lands and put them back in your hand, and then you can cycle it.
I have never thought of that actually. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think it's honestly like a draw 3 in that case. You know, because if you're bouncing out cycle.
Your hope is late in the game. You just bounce a card. You know.
Yeah. It's not better than
No,
the
it's not
Kenra
better
No.
than Canada. It's still fun though.
It's got awesome art though. Look at that dude bleeding out.
Yeah.
All right.
Fatality.
Next we have Oasis Ritualist for 3 and a green. It's a creature Naga Druid. You can tap 1 to get a mana of any color to your mana pool, and you can tap Exert it to add 2 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. It's a 2/4. That's something to think about.
That's probably one of the strongest commons in the entire set.
I would agree that is one of the strongest. I think I still want to be on the Scrapper plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
I would pack one, pick one that over that.
Really? Okay. I used it for the first time last night.
Last night, yeah.
For me, this in green is like
Yeah.
I'm looking at
But I
this
didn't
or
wanna base it
Ambuscade,
on
and it's
that,
hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's like a hard choice.
I used it with that blue one that untapped, so I
Yeah.
exerted it. So yeah.
But the first pick, I'd pick him over him because a 2/3 Menacer for 3 I can sometimes stipulate, but a 4 mana guy that lets me play a 7 drop on turn 5 is crazy, or 8 drop.
Yeah.
It just accelerates any huge creature you have out in green.
Well, it would still be a 7 drop on turn 5. So 5, 6, 7. Yeah. No, it's
yeah.
I mean the ramp is a thing. Ramp is an architect. I just would rather my opponent be dead before that even matters.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is harder to draft green ramp because your second color has to be removal almost strictly.
Yeah, or blue with that other ramp stuff.
Yeah, blue control with that. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Scrapper.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. All right. Next we have Kenra Eternal for 1 and a black. It is a creature creature zombie jackal warrior, has afflict 1 and it's a 2/2. It's a really solid 2-drop. But I don't want to take it over any of the other ones.
If it had like another ability on its card, maybe, but it just has afflict 1 and like I play it for 2 mana. I attack once, it gets blocked. They take 1 damage. Okay.
It has fear. I mean, it looks scary.
If it had fear, we'd be going places with that card.
If it had fear, it would be like 2 years ago.
Maybe.
All right, next we have Desert of the Fervent. This is a land desert. Desert of the Fervent enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add a red, or it has cycling for 1 and a red.
I could definitely see actually taking that over a Kenner Scrapper depending on where you are at the draft, but not pack one, pick one.
I mean, I think I would want one over the Ritualist.
Ooh.
That's just where my priority would go, like Scrapper, the Desert, then the Ritualist.
So yeah, I'd probably go Ritualist, Scrapper, Desert. Those are mine.
Okay.
But yeah, this comes down to a play style thing.
Yeah, no,
Really?
and I agree. All right, next up we have Feral Prowler for 1 and a green. It's a creature cat. When Feral Prowler dies, you draw a card. It's a 1/3. It's got my favorite line of text on there, but
I do not like that card. I never play that card.
That's a pack 1 card that you hope sometimes wheels.
Yes. Oh yeah. Like if I'm an Oasis Ritualist.
Yeah, if you grab this and you're like, Feral Prowl wheels, we're good place.
All right, next up we have God Pharaoh's Faithful for a white. It's a creature human wizard. Whenever you cast a blue, black, or red spell, you may gain a life, and it's a 0/4.
See,
I don't think anyone's excited about that.
No.
I just never seen it work. Like, a 0/4 body is really nice, but like I've never seen the actual text on the card be relevant.
I tried to draft it, and it did not work for me. But more on that later. All right, Striped Riverwinder for 6 and a blue. It's a creature serpent. It has hexproof, cycling for blue, and it is a 5/5.
Card's super great. Grab 1 or 2 of them. Cycle them.
It's easy to get 1 or 2 of those too. They wheel around easy. Like I always have extra.
But not a pack 1, pick 1.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a game ender. It's 7 mana.
Really good in this, I think, what is currently a removal heavy draft format.
If I took the Oasis Ritualist, I'd hope that wheels.
Yeah, that's
then
not
you could
actually
ramp
bad.
into. It's something to ramp into.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Crook of Condemnation. This is the first uncommon. It is for 2. It's an artifact. You can pay 1, tap, exile target card from a graveyard, or you can pay 1, exile the Crook of Condemnation, and exile all cards from all graveyards.
Good sideboard.
Yeah, what he said.
I would not sideboard that in. I don't think.
Oh, I mean,
What? I mean, unless no, I have to see at least three Eternalized or 3 Entombed creatures.
pointing it's like black-white zombies. It'd maybe be good because you get instant speed to it in response to like them playing like Wanderer of Death and something like that. So you force them to have a dead card in their hand at that point.
I have to see a
bad.
lot. Like if I saw 1, I wouldn't bring it in. I'd have to see, like I said, they'd have to be dedicated to it.
With that said, I've never used one.
No,
I've always had
I've
it. For sideboard,
never
never had
even
to use it. Or if I needed it, I never had it.
I had one early on because I thought it was going to be like a thing to actually do, and no, I just never. Really
If it was
did.
like now Spellbond drew you a card, value.
Tarmogoyf value. That's what we say. Okay, Torment of Scarabs. It's for 3 and a black. It is an enchantment or a curse. Enchant player. At the beginning of the enchanted player's upkeep, that player loses 3 life unless he or she sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card.
I like that a lot.
I like that a lot too.
It's such a play around card, but it's so good.
So at first when I first saw this card played against me, I was like, oh okay, this is no big deal. Early on, I'll just outrace him. And then he played some chump blockers, and then more chump blockers, and then more chump blockers, and then it got to the point where I was basically top decking, and I couldn't play it because I had to discard it because he just whittled me down so much.
So you actually have to choose that before you draw.
Yes, it is at the upkeep, so the choice is made before you draw. So
I've seen that used with Trespasser's Curse combined. Oh,
Well, the Trespassers isn't such a big deal because
No, but when-
if you're using that, then they're throwing away
They're
their
not playing
cards or they're
creatures anyways.
sacrificing them.
yeah, but it's after a few turns, it starts making a big difference.
This card has forced me to look at sideboard options that get rid of enchantments. When I draft.
I normally just get faster. I just get more creatures, get faster, and kill them before this becomes effective.
Well, I played blue too, so just say no.
I'm nervous when I see it. I haven't had it played on me yet, but I've watched other people's games. I'm like, ooh, and I've seen it work. But I'm not nervous enough about it to and I guess white's the only thing that removes enchantments.
Yeah.
To sideboard, try to sideboard for something.
I think green has one.
Yeah, green is
It's
couple.
got
Okay.
that cycling thing that destroys artifact or enchantment.
That's just an artifact.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
So then I don't
This
know, it might
this
just
is
be
my
white.
pack one pick one because I'll build a deck around it.
Oh yeah. You just build discard, and if you get any sweeper like Hour of Devastation, you're just so happy.
So, this is my pick. Gary, where are you at?
I think I'm going to go with that too because when I've seen it used, man, whew,
I'm gonna go with the scrapper still.
You're staying with the scrapper?
Yeah, because that's like if I pick that over anything else, that's gonna let me know what I'm going with. And like you said, I'm just once I see that come out on the board the first game, if I don't win, then I'm just gonna go faster.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop everything down, all 1, 2s, and 3 drops, and then throw in some pump spells just to try and eat through whatever I can.
I'd probably go with Torment.
and it being in the uncommon slot as well. So
All right, so we got 3 on Torment and 1 on still on Scrapper. All right, next up we have Burning Fist Minotaur For 1 and a red, it's a creature Minotaur Wizard. It has first strike. It's a 2/1. And then it says you pay 1 and a red, discard a card, and Burning Fist Minotaur gets +2/+0 until end of turn.
This card Wishes Madness was in the format.
This card does Wish
Oh my
Madness in the
gosh,
format.
that would make that so broken.
And like,
Yeah.
it's really good game pack. I don't think it's better than the Kenra for the main reason that like you play it game 1 and you win. Like your opponent probably doesn't have an answer fast enough. But game 2, they're like, okay, I slide in a Blazing Volley or 2, and now my 1 mana do 1 damage to all your creatures gets really, really good.
Here's my honest. I've never seen this card ever.
Really?
I
haven't either.
This is my
Me
first
either.
time ever actually seeing this card.
I've drafted a couple times. I think twice and played against it once.
Yeah. So I think that this format is. I think you can make a deck that is fast enough that this card is extremely scary.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's this. Like I don't think it's better than Torment.
Yeah, it doesn't really get you there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that really wants to have blue so you can draw all the cards you can just so you can throw them away.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I see when I look at that, because in a red green, you're not going to be drawing a lot of cards. You're going to be down to the very end. And then the same thing with like a red black. You're going to have cards in your hand, or you're not going to have cards in your hand because a lot of the creatures want you to have less stuff.
I think the idea is more the threat of activation, right? So you're gonna swing. You're gonna swing with it, and they have a 4/4, and they're gonna go. I don't really want to block because I don't want to lose my 4/4, and then they take 2 points of damage. I think that's the idea. Is that it basically every turn it says deal 2 points of damage to your opponent because they're never gonna block it.
The scary thing is when you block and they're like, I'm gonna pump and discard, and you're like, Magma Spray. And they're really sad.
So are you taking this?
No, I'm staying with the scrapper.
Anyone upgrading?
No.
No.
That's not an upgrade.
Well, in the term. All right, for a rare. Oh, this is terrible. All right, we have Uketra's Last Mercy for 1 and a white. It's a sorcery. Your life total becomes equal to your starting life total. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step.
Such garbage.
If there's a commander pack one, pick one. Bingo.
There you go. This card I've successfully played against, and it was great because I just got to kill them all over again.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So we're all in agreement. That's
Yeah,
not...
no,
Yeah,
that's
that's going in
that's
that
the last
pile.
pick in that pack.
All right, and then we got an
Ooh.
island.
Oh my god.
Number 1 played land.
Yeah, for hipsters
Hipsters everywhere.
and elitists.
All right, so we are on Torment of Scarabs
Torment of Scarabs.
and
I'm
Kendra
still-
Scrapper.
I'm on the scrapper.
Can you do like a? Is it possible, Gary, for like your podcast? Because I don't, I watch them all the time. But
Yeah.
is it possible to do like a little card outlay for what our pick is, and then
Yeah.
as it changes?
Yeah, I mean, I typically do that at
Oh.
the end. I should.
You should just put it on our faces.
I put every card that comes up, and then I say that in some of the episodes I've put on there over our head which one we picked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But just not every time you do it.
No, it's just I forget.
Who needs consistency, man?
Who needs consistency? All right, so that's I don't know. I'm excited about this pack. Like I've never actually played with Torment. I've only played against it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those cards that I'm actually kind of excited. Like I kind of wish this was real because I'm excited to actually play with the card.
Yeah. I think like if you get like some Hypnotic Specters and stuff like that to just force your opponent to
Oh
discard.
my lord, those
and
are so beautiful.
that would be a really tough game when you're removing your opponent's board while also attacking their hand. That's really scary with that card.
Now, when you're drafting Hypnotic Spectre in this format, that's the impressive part right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very. Or getting 2 of these.
No, I think he's talking about there is no hypnotic
Yeah,
specter.
I know.
Which one am I talking about? That's
The only thing
the
that's
discard.
The only thing that's in there right now is Unburden,
Yeah,
and that's that 2 is it 2 black and
it's 1 in a black.
yeah, 1 in a black
It has
black.
cycling for 2.
Yep.
And discard
and
2
it's-
cards.
What's the 2 mana
Discard.
one that says each player discards a card?
That's
Oh,
the
the
mummy,
mummy that comes
festering
in.
mummy.
Yeah.
When it enters battlefield, and, everybody discards a card. I mean, there's lots of little things like that. You also have the camel that wants deserts,
Oh, yeah.
and then
Yeah,
when it
and then they
dies, discard a
discard a
card.
Yeah.
There's lots of little things. I want to say there's a creature too that says when it hits, discard a card.
Equal to its power.
Neheb, no, Neheb the Worthy, black red, or whichever, the black red Neheb. When he hits a player, I think they have to discard a card.
There's also the 1/2 with Menace that whenever he hits, they discard a card equal to its power.
And it
that's
has
a-
Eternal
that's a-
Eyes.
Yeah, that's an hour.
Is
Yeah.
there a 2 mana just discard 2 spell?
No,
It's 3 mana in the discard
mana
too,
discard
with
too.
cycling too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking like hymn to Torah and stuff like that. So that's not a thing anymore.
That's at next
Why
level
not?
at random.
Well, because I mean
It's
that's
way
that's
too powerful on
yeah,
turn
it's
two.
too powerful.
On
For
turn 2, you're like, you hit it, get that, and then they're out of their lands, and
And
then they
then-
just look at you, and they're,
and then if you're really a jerk, you do it again the next turn.
do it again the next turn. Do it with, what's the X in the black?
Mind twist.
Yeah.
Why can't we just Gataxian Probe and then
It's
Cabal
okay.
Ritual?
Yeah.
And
It's
then
okay.
sack the-
It's something.
I did that to people. It was a lot of fun. All right, so for our major topic today, that was our pack one pick one. All right, so for our major topic today, we're going to talk about improving and growth of the Magic the Gathering. Wait, what?
I don't know,
You are
man.
completely distracting me every time you click on things while I'm trying to read.
You read it exactly the way you said it.
No,
because
you didn't.
I didn't say. I forgot a player. I was getting completely distracted. Like colors were changing, things were getting highlighted. Yeah, I need a teleprompter that doesn't move.
Improving.
You're
players,
like
not-
you're like
not
our
Magic
Thursday
the Gathering.
DM.
I know. I feel like it right now.
Things change, and you're like, what? Is that a waffle?
Well, see, it's much better when I like have I just like having control.
Oh, you mean the blue player likes to have control
It's
of things?
really weird, huh? All right, so our topic today, starting over again, is improvement and growth of a player in Magic the Gathering. The topic came up because we had somebody in our group who basically said, look, I want to get better at drafting. What are some ways to get better at drafting specifically? And I was talking to Gage, and we wanted to take that topic and expand it a little bit, and not just talking about drafting specifically, but about Magic as a whole. Like, how can you as a player get better at Magic? So, we were brainstorming, and I basically gave him a homework assignment.
I hate homework.
Yeah,
homework
give him
is dumb.
a homework assignment to come up with what he was thinking. That way, I could extrapolate from what he was thinking to talk about it with everybody else. So, breaking it down, how did you get started as a player? We were actually talking about this last week with the Card Sphere guys, how they were telling us that they learned Magic, but they learned it bad. It was Ted that was saying that he was messing up with some of the rules. And so, for this, what was the first thing you learned about Magic? You learned it wrong, and then how did you grow from learning something wrong? For example, for me, I was the classic, when I was first taught how to play Magic, the elves, what are they called? Those elves that tap for mana.
Llanowar?
Yeah, Llanowar elves, when they tap for a mana, you went and found a forest and put it into play.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because that's how they work. There was another person we've had on the podcast where when they first started to play Magic, the way it worked is you would cast your spells and put them basically, if you imagine, on a stack. They would just play them out, and then your opponent got a chance to interact with them as they resolved. So you basically, your main phase was just casting all of your stuff, and then if they had like counter spells, it would be counter that one right there. I'll let everything else resolve. that was his mistake. Gary, how about you?
Oh, geez, man. When I first started playing, I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Or it doesn't have to, you don't have to go back to like when you first started playing, but when you played, but you were doing something wrong or bad, and you knew that you were doing something wrong.
I can't be honest with you. I think I had people I learned it with people who were playing. Yeah, it is distracting, isn't it?
Touch. Keep going though.
But no,
Yeah, don't worry about it, Gary. Don't let it distract you.
I don't remember anything like that weird that I was doing wrong. I mean, I just don't.
You got the mechanics down pat. You've never messed up a untap step. You've never messed up a draw.
The biggest thing back in the day was the whole, and this is before they had the stack, and the. I guess I always had a hard time with mana burn, and understanding how the stack. There wasn't a stack back then, so that's why they created, I guess, the whole interrupt thing, and just pull it completely out and stick it completely in.
Not to you. Yeah, no, it doesn't like me.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
User.
But that's about it. I mean, there were certain, I was anti-fetch land when they first came out. I was like, that's just stupid. I don't know why anybody, when the first ones came out, I was like, that's the dumbest thing in the world. Dude, no, you don't understand. And the strategies, I don't know.
So yours is more of a strategy aspect.
Yeah, I had a hard time getting why Birds of Paradise was good. or why Black Lotus was good. You know.
You had a hard time understanding why Black Lotus.
Well,
was
because you
good.
didn't see him that often. I'm like, how is it that much money? And how is it whatever, man? We're playing our. You know, I used to think Royal Assassin was the best card in the 4th edition set.
It is pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty fantastic, actually.
Well, I mean, and that's somewhere where you've developed as a player. So that's what we're looking for.
That's all.
Especially with
But I didn't play. I didn't do any weird. Oh man, I didn't know that was a rule. Other than when we were doing the Commander for the first time, and I was playing Candelabra of Tronos for infinite mana.
Yeah. Yeah, because you didn't realize those cards were from a set with the rules and old rules. Yeah.
Yeah. Old school rules.
How about you? Gage?
So I didn't like my rules. Anything like a rules problem got resolved at the time, so I didn't have that big an issue. But my biggest problem in Magic was remembering like things like, hey, my opponent when I block, my opponent gets to choose where they assign the combat damage first. So at first I was like, I'm gonna block with this guy. He can't kill this one, so it'll be fine. I'll just double block, and he killed the other one. I'm like, well, that didn't work out how I wanted to do.
Okay, so some combat issues.
Yeah, assigning a combat damage, stuff like that. And then the stack, of course, I feel like every player struggles with the stack when they first try to understand it. And then another one even to this day, I still do it, but less often, is like playing things in your first main phase when you don't have to. Mm. Attack first, play things to your second main phase.
Also, reading cards apparently is also.
Actually, that will always haunt me till the day I die.
That's going to haunt all of us, though. We've all looked at cards later after we've lost to them, but like, wait, it does that?
Like, I played Hunt the Weak at instant speed, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a bad guy.
Me, when I first started, I learned in middle school, so we didn't have very much time, and I've talked to you guys about this before, but the way we actually played, which was a completely different way to build a deck as well, we called it fast mana. So every turn you drew up to 7, and you played all your lands every turn. And so I mean the games were infinitely faster.
Well, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean there used to be decks that were just nothing but 4 Siobhan Dragons, 4 Lightning Bolts, 4 Incinerates, and 4 Disintegrates, and that was it. And then just like 30 land, and it was just like I drop 6 lands and play a Siobhan Dragon and a Lightning Bolt. Go ahead, stuff like that. So that was the biggest thing. And then I actually didn't really learn that wasn't the way until I was an adult, because I had stopped playing for so long. And then I think the big thing is when I think I came out here and you guys all looked at me like I was crazy even talking about it. You were like, no, that's not a thing at all. And I was like, well, whatever, man. But yeah, that was probably my biggest thing.
It's like your opinion, man.
I can imagine you going to a draft and just being like, okay, I'll play these 2 lands and I'll play this creature and then I'll draw 7. All right, your turn.
Yeah, no, that would be so awesome. But
you should do a GP like that.
Oh my god,
just walk in and sit down the first time.
Yeah,
get on camera too. Especially make sure there's a camera around to be like, all right, so I'm gonna play these 3 forests and this mountain, and
I'll tap these 4 and play
the exert mana guy.
Yeah,
that's what I did last time.
Yeah, that's how I was taught how to play.
Yeah, that's the rules, right?
Isn't that magic?
Come on,
I want to pay the creature's casting cost again to give it haste.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was my big thing, and I still try to get people to play that way, just to try and try something different every once in a while. I think we've done it once, and then everybody's like, "This is terrible," because that's all they ever know is the one way. So
we just sat down one day, I think, for a while and did that with
did it, yeah,
like standard like a year ago or something.
It was about a year and a half, yeah. That was when Shadows was really big.
Yeah,
I mean it's definitely, like I said, it is a lot faster way to play, but I think the reason that we even came up with it was because we had 15 minutes and 30 minutes for our time, because all of us live so far apart, so we never got to play, and we're all like 10 to 12, so it's not like we're just jumping in the car and driving 5 miles to the guy's house or to a card shop, because I mean I was 15 miles away from the school I went to, so, and I mean we were out in the sticks, there was no way I was getting anywhere, so I mean we you'd play 3 or 4 games in a lunch period like that, and it was a lot of fun.
Now, were they multiplayer or just 1-on-1?
We did everything. I mean, you could have a 4-player game done in 10 minutes.
Okay.
And like I said, that's just the way the decks were also built. Like,
Commander.
I mean, I used to have green decks that were just, they were silly. I'd have like 2 or 3 Force of Natures in them, 3 Craw Giants, and then a Stream of Life. So I'd get out all my stuff and then Stream of Life for 15, and then overrun and swing through for like 80 points of damage. It was silly, but I mean, that's the way it worked. So I mean, blue counter decks were a lot harder to deal with. You're drawing like. I remember playing Merfolk decks, and it was 4 Lords of Atlantis, and then 4 of the little 1-drop stupid things, and then they'd put a Phantasmal Terrain, and then 4 spells every turn. They'd counter everything. It's like counter. It's like, you suck, and then you get eaten by Merfolk, and it's like, I hate you so much right now.
Is this why you hate blue?
Yeah.
Probably.
I know now what my first mistake was. Like, for the longest time, because I'd never been to tournaments. My first tournament was in Iceland, and I didn't get the concept of having 4 of each card in there. It was like a weird thing. I wanted like everything in there to do all these little things. And when I went to tournaments and like 4, 2 Wheel of Fortunes, 4 Goblin Bloom Brigades, 4 Curd Apes, this and that, and I just got stomped. And then I was like, oh, this 4 of thing, pretty consistent.
Oh, so you didn't have 4 of everything?
No, I would run like I would run just like 2 color and like the only thing I'd run 4 of might be a fireball or something, okay. And then 1 lightning bolt. But this one's good too. This one's good. Okay. This one's good. There's too many good cards, so I guess I'll just have 1 of each.
Okay. All right. So that was a way that we all started playing. Some rules we learned talking wrong
or
too.
along the way.
Yeah. All right. So what is an example of a time like when you were doing something wrong, you were basically told that it was wrong, and what did you do to go about changing your mindset, your mind frame, to overcome that weakness? Okay, so for example, for me, when I first started playing out here, actually in BAFDraft, the logic was, you know how the order is, it's untap, upkeep, draw, right? Mm-hmm. If you didn't physically untap everything, and you just drew your card, and you left your lands and your creatures tapped, and you drew a card, you missed your draw step. That was the rule. You just missed your draw step. You just lost it. There was you lost your untap step. So all your stuff stayed tapped. That was the punishment for players who didn't know that you untap first. And it got people... and it was a stupid rule, because obviously it's a force thing. You have no control over it. But it was effective to me because I basically was like, okay, well, I'm going to get this down. So I spent night after night after night just practicing that. Untap, upkeep, draw. Untap, upkeep, draw. Untap. Just over and over again, just basically beating that into my head until I had fixed myself, if you will. The funny part being that the rule doesn't actually exist and they were all a bunch of hot air. But it was still it was a way that I overcame it by being punished by a rule that didn't actually exist. Gary, anything like that?
The biggest thing is the triggers. I miss triggers a lot, and then somebody showed me putting the dice on top of the deck.
Okay, like for upkeep?
I think it was you or somebody showed me that, and I was, for upkeep triggers, And I miss a lot of stuff when there's a lot of layers going, but, also...
so for taking that one for example, right? So what you did is that when a trigger happens in your upkeep, if you put a dice on top of your deck, so you don't miss that upkeep, you have to remove that dice before you draw. If you see the dice there, you can say, "Oh, I'm still in my upkeep, because I haven't drawn yet. I will trigger the event."
Like Ether Vial being the example of that.
Yeah. That's your the way you shortcutted that.
Yeah, and those May ones, you can't go, well, it says to, no, you miss that. You miss that. Yep. That's it. That'll lose you a game real quick.
Yeah. So that's a great little a personal thing to overcome the weakness that you had.
Definitely another thing, I struggled, like you said, with triggers and stuff like that. And again, the dice thing works amazing. But another thing you have to do is you have to make sure you're paying attention to what's on the board at all times. I can't count how many times, because I started back in Shadows, that I've attacked and my opponent's just been like, okay, tap 3 mana, activate Hissing Quagmire, block your guy and kill it with that touch, and I'm just like, I didn't see that there. Where was that Hissing Quagmire? It was there since round 1, but I wasn't paying attention to what affected the board state. You got to pay more close attention, I think.
Okay.
And something I do there is before I draw every single turn, I look at the board state. I look at what the opponent has, what I have, what's changed, how much mana they have up, and you get an idea of the flow of the game. And you really I really want to establish how I want to proceed with the game every time I draw. And that way I know, okay, this is what I need to do to win this turn.
Okay.
Because if I feel like a lot of people just play spells and do things with Magic, and you need to play spells and do things in Magic that win you the game.
Okay.
Not that affect the board state, not that affect your opponent, that win the game.
Okay. So basically, if I can synopsis what you just said, basically take a couple seconds, evaluate where you're at, evaluate what's going on, then proceed with your turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Flowers?
Well, I mean, I had the same experience with the untap, and if you didn't, it was just locked. So that was definitely a big thing. For me, though, it's probably the board state awareness has been the hardest thing to try and learn. So that's really where I'm focusing the most on, is trying to get to the point where I can see everything that's going on, and then being aware of like you were saying, how much mana they have untapped, what colors they're playing, how many counter spells they've been running for the night, what kind of answers they might have, and things like that. So that's my biggest focus right now. That, and I'm evidently terrible at drafting. So
Kicked my butt a few days ago.
well, that was a sealed, and that was the thing, is like the first set, or the first block of each set, I seemed to do really, really well. Shadows over Innistrad, I basically ran the tables. There was one other guy who was the only one who really ever competed with me, and he hated drafting, so he just stopped coming. And then when Eldritch Moon came out, I just fell to the bottom. The same thing happened here. I did really well with Amonkhet for the whole time, and then Hour Devastation came out, and it's like, are these the same cards? Like, I don't understand. I want to try and play this, and then I just, I get beaten like I was a redheaded stepchild. So
I'm a redheaded stepchild.
yeah, and you should have been beaten. Many things would have been fixed, Gary. But yeah, I mean, that's the other thing with me, and because like the main thing I do out here is draft, and when I draft terribly, or what I feel is terribly, it's very frustrating, and I'm trying not to be so salty about it, and I know I've been salty to everybody in this room. So I do apologize. I'm so ashamed I'm not even going to look at you.
They had to wipe the floor of the salt off of there last night. That was pretty bad.
No, I mean, that wasn't salt. That was a massacre.
It was. You mean,
No,
it's really good de-icer.
His game against me was just stupid, and so I mean, I was pretty much over it at that point. But yeah, that's the biggest thing is just trying to figure out how the second block, or the second set in each block works. Because I'm not figuring it out, and seeing where everything kind of synergizes and stuff like that. So I just need more time and more experience with it.
I think one of the, if I can help try and assist here, one of the things that same with Shadows and with Amonkhet is both formats kind of slowed down a little bit after the second set came out. Like Amonkhet and the Shadows were really aggro. You could really put down a beatdown plan and just kick someone's face in.
Oh yeah.
Which you do exceedingly well with your black-white aggro beatdown revive deck that I was playing against the other day.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get into the second sets where they sort of balance out and solve some of the main issues, you really have to look at the game and be like, well, I could play beatdown, but is that the best strategy I can come up with?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is I try to stick, as Matt will tell you with hatred in his eyes, I try to force things, and sometimes it works, and most of the time it doesn't, especially once we get to the second set. So it's just, like I said, I need more time with it, and unfortunately with this set I'm pretty much done. Like I can't wait until dinosaurs come out, and then I can
we're all
just
excited for
I
dinosaurs.
can just run around and go like, "Rawr!" and I'm a dinosaur. But yeah, that's the hope. But I mean, I'm always really excited when new sets come out, and then if I do terrible with them, and then I'm like, yeah, this set is so dumb. It's so broken. I don't even know why we're doing this, and I'd rather play video games by myself. But I just need to actually sit down and look at it, and then not force myself into one thing. And there's some mental blocks that I have, and me and Matt were talking about it today at lunch. There's some mental blocks that I have where Like once I get to the end of the first pack, I'm not changing.
Actually, we're gonna get on that in a minute.
Okay,
So
well, then-
where you're headed, we'll get to in a
Yeah.
minute. All right. So the next part of this conversation is about the, as you're playing Magic, you're playing at a certain level, and I'm gonna say it's like right here, right? You get to where you're at. It happens to every player. It could be really good, really not not really knowing what you're talking about. The plateau of Magic. You are just at this level. But when you're at that point, you'll get to something and you'll get to like an aha moment, and you actually can feel yourself get better at Magic, right? Like just oh my word, last week I was a scrub and now I just feel like I know so much better. And what I want to talk about is what caused that jump to the aha moment for you. If you've had that. So for example, for me, when I was playing, I was getting in a draft, I understand the colors, I was a little bit on signals, like I had an idea of how to draft. I could get the top three, first, second, third, like I wasn't doing terrible, I wasn't doing great, I was just drafting cards, I was just picking the best cards. And I was doing okay with it, but what I did is I went and I registered a premium account. We're not affiliated with them at any way, not making any money from it, but I registered a premium account with Star City Games.
You would like to.
No, I mean technically with them doing podcasts, we're kind of competitors.
Are we?
I mean, we're not on the same level, but I mean, we're not at the level of technical expertise and stuff like that. But I mean, they're a podcast and we're a podcast, so I mean.
Now,
it's not really.
Can't you get a premium account just by purchasing certain order
Yeah, you
sizes
can
from them as well?
You
if
get
you happen
unlock
to order
certain
from
months
them,
of premium. So they come out with content that's premium, and they come out with content that's for standard for everybody. The premium costs a little bit extra. Honestly, the articles are worth it though. The articles, you get in-depth articles about certain things. There were some writers I really like to follow. Brian Kibler, I really like to follow him. Jacobs, there was a writer, Michael Jacobs. I really liked following him I liked what they had to say. Felt like the content was unfiltered. It was their word. They had nothing to try and gain out of deceiving people with the articles. Anyway, so I started religiously reading those, and then on top of that, I also was watching Twitch at the same time too, and I was watching some Twitch streamers, and it was the same time I actually stopped playing Magic. I was unable to play Magic at the time, so instead I've just watched a lot of Magic, read Magic, and I really felt that after watching and reading and getting a look at their insight, I actually found myself disagreeing with some of the articles. And that to me was a really helpful thing, because the moment I could sit there and say, I disagree with that article, and then have a reason for it, like I disagree with red is the best color because of this, and this reason, that moment to me was my aha moment of I can listen to your opinion, I can take opinions from multiple people and then formulate my own. And then as I formulate my own opinion, my voice, I feel that my voice has more power to it. And I stopped being a follower in the Magic community and started to become a leader. People look to me saying, hey, why are you playing this? Why are you doing this? And I can give them an answer. So that for me was my first, like how I overcame that level of plateau. And that, again, honestly, all credit to Star City Games and the premium accounts that I read their articles. So, Gary?
Oh, mine is slow players. This let me explain. This happened probably a few months ago when we had a lot of the newer players coming in playing real slow. And I started noticing myself, instead of just getting bored and drifting off, start really paying attention to the board state and start really paying attention to timing on certain spells and how every little decision they make and how my timing got better on instant speed and sorcery speed spells. Okay. I still flub, sometimes, but I think I'm way better. It just clicked on me. Oh man, now I know I don't have to, do this destruction right away. Sometimes I do those aggro decks, or like that one time I did the 12, 13 removals, But, it clicked on me. I was starting to see how to really manipulate the board state and how to really know when to attack. But I had more time to sit there and evaluate, and I think if I just do that constantly, it'll help out.
And you were saying it was playing against slow players? Because they were playing so slow, you actually got to pay attention to the board?
Yeah.
Like the board triggers and all that kind of stuff? Okay.
That's interesting.
Gage?
So when I first started playing, a lot of my friends that played Magic at the time were very competitive. Like they went to Grand Prix, they went to all these fun events, and huge Magic players, been playing for a while. So when I started playing, they were like, "Oh, try out this sweet Modern deck. You've never played Modern before, right? Here, come play like a 12-man tournament." And so my first ever Modern game ever was in a tournament, and I remember playing against some blue-red deck, and I'm like, I learned what control was that day. And he was just like, counterspell, lightning bolt your stuff that matters, and then kill me. And it boggled my mind at that point, because I didn't understand the cards in the format. I didn't understand half the cards he was playing. Mm-hmm. It boggled my mind at the point that the guy who I was playing against controlled me to the point where I felt like he was playing my deck.
Okay.
And that's what got me into like the blue and stuff like that. But how I got better from that was I started watching those players. Like, I'd come to these tournaments and like I'd get my face kicked in. Like, I lost my first 5 tournaments. And like, it doesn't feel good. But then again, I was learning so much and developing so much just playing against these players who were like vastly superior to me, that once I started to catch on to their tricks, their plays, what they were doing to get a small advantage, because I think Magic's all about small advantages. Mm-hmm. You take the slightest edge and you just gotta roll it downhill. And like how they time their spells, like I know people that they'll have removal in their hand and they'll just get beat in the face for 5 turns and then play 5 turns later. I'm like, why would you do that? And he's like, because I was waiting for if you potentially played a better thing to kill. Because I wasn't worried about this threat that had a 10-turn clock. I was worried about you playing something turn 5 at a 3-turn clock. And so it really, it's simple things like when someone swings in combat and they have all their mana up, right? Like, take the 2 damage. I mean, you go to 18, sure. Don't play your removal spell then. Play it into turn. Because let's say they play a better threat for that targeted removal.
Yeah.
Is it worth that 2 damage that you just didn't take? Probably not.
Right.
So, and again, like you said, I watched a lot of articles. I went with Channel Fireball, of course. So I watched like Paul Cheon's draft Modern Cubes. That's like my guilty pleasures, watching Paul Cheon do Modern Cubes, like just in general. But yeah, watching pro players and getting their insight on things. Not all pros are right, and sometimes like the right way to do thing is just opinion based.
Yeah.
It comes down to a decision that you make that will affect the rest of the game, but is based upon what cards are drawn later on.
Well, we actually had, we had John Finkel on, and we were actually doing Pack One Pick One, and I disagreed with him on one of the picks on the final pick, mm-hmm. and I still don't think it was a wrong pick, and he actually even said, he could see an argument for it.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, I felt good about it.
Well, he also said that was his personal preference, too, because it came down to 2 cards of equal strength, and it was just one of... He said, in a draft, I'll usually go for this color. I think it was black. He said he'll just generally go for a black card. And
it was a red card.
Oh, was it red? Yeah. I knew it was one of those things. He would generally go for that color in a draft, and so these 2 cards were of equal power, and he was like, well, I'm going to stick with this color because it's usually going to do better for me in this format. So, I mean, that's really what it came down to.
Yep. I think there's a lot of times there's not wrong. There are decisions that lead to different results, but a lot of times there's a wrong decision, a right decision, a right decision, a right decision.
Yeah, and you have to pick which one. Yeah.
Pick which one you like the most, pretty much.
Okay. And then going back to your story.
Well, I mean, for me, a big thing is like I said, I'll like to, by the end of the first pack, I'm locked into where I want. I have an idea of what I want to run, and then I try and force it from there. And I'll steal whatever I can and things like that. And a lot of the times it locks me in, and other people will be pulling the same stuff, and I'll just be kind of hamstrung. But another big thing is I get too, I guess, emotional. Like, I don't sit there and actually think with any kind of reason. I just look at it and I'm like, okay, well, this, and this need to happen. And I go about it and I don't change. I don't adapt as things change on the board state. And then I just stop thinking. And I just, go into machine magic, I guess is what it is. And I just play the cards, because it's like once I get to a point and I know I've already lost, I don't want to scoop from there because, that all-powerful top deck can will the cards and yada, yada, yada. But,
you might top deck a board wipe that you never actually drafted.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but honestly, it's a thing that, I sometimes am like, I know every card I've drafted, but maybe I didn't read this last line of text on a card.
Yeah, so that's for me is once I started to actually think about the cards that I was drafting, and after talking with you and a couple of the guys back in the day that were consistently on top of the pile, I actually started to look at the cards and see for more than just, this is a creature XX and it does this when it comes onto the battlefield and things like that. Because I would pass removal left and right when I first started, and I mean I would get beat all the time. So, kind of seeing how that works and taking a little bit more time, and I still have a lot more work to go on that front. When it comes to color choice for the day and what kind of deck I want to run. So once I get to that, I think I'll actually feel like I'm improving, because I mean, even though I'll do better, I still don't feel like, I've had that aha moment, and I don't know if I ever really will, and maybe I'll just get better, and maybe I'll just stay mediocre. To me, it's not. I'm not looking for that moment. I just want to not suck.
Well, I guess, but we're talking about the times when you had the moment, and that's your moment. That, even though it's a small thing, and you may not look at it right now, that is your moment, though. The moment when you're like, I'm going to start evaluating the cards better. That is the moment, and then when you realize you're doing it, that's the moment. That's it. All right, so I did want to, the last putting a little final stamp on it. What are some limiting factors that you've seen that other people do, other players, either in our community or communities back home, where they say, they want to get better, they ask, how do I get better? And you're just like, well, why don't you do this? And then they come up with some excuse. I have three that I feel are the most, that are the most prevalent. To a community, especially like BAFDraft, and I've seen them the most. The three are time, access to resources, and fear of embarrassment. So real fast, time, basically, I just talked about reading articles, watching Twitch videos, watching YouTube videos, and there's just people who are just like, I don't want to spend the time to read the article. Like, I'll link an article, and I'm like, hey, this is a really good article, and then 2 days later they're like, man, this it'll be a draft article about how the best way to draft green red, and then somebody will come up and say, hey, how do I draft green red better? And I'm like, well, you liked my Facebook page that said how to draft green red better. Did you read the article? And they're like, I didn't have time to read the article.
I skimmed through it.
Yeah, I skimmed through it, or I didn't even click on the link. I find it funny that they complain about losing, but they don't want to put the time in to get better at it. And then the other one is access to resources. So the reason I am no longer a Star City Premium member is because on the computer that I have, their image no longer loads. So it's just that little box, that has no image loaded. Yeah. So I don't like reading an article. Like, I love to see the cards, and even if it's a card I know, I want it there to look at. I can't. Oh, yeah. I personally can't do pack one, pick one, just listening to card names. Because I'm like, what does that one do again? What does that thing again? Like, they all get scrambled up in my head. But if I see the art, see the card, it clicks for me a lot better and sinks in deeper. So, access to resources. I know there's times when I just don't have access to, say, YouTube. It's just, doesn't work for me. So, I can understand people complaining about that, but there are people to ask people, talk to people. Like you were saying, we have conversations at lunch. If you don't have the access to the articles, talk to people. Talk to people you trust. Talk to people whose opinions you care about. And the last one is fear of embarrassment. And I know I've personally suffered from this one when I first, started in the community as a nerd. I'm an introvert person forcing myself to be extroverted. But there's so many times that I see people, they want to know how to get better. They want to know what the choice is to make in this situation, but they don't want to ask, right? And then by the time they get comfortable enough to ask, they've already done so many bad things and have so many bad habits that it's like almost ingrained in them. So yeah. I've made it a point to publicly ask people, how should I say this without sounding condescending? It's going to sound condescending. I've asked questions that I know the answer to, specifically so the question is put out there and that people can then respond. Like, I want them to respond to the question. I don't really care what the answer is. Yeah. Does that make sense? It's terrible to say, but I've done that in our community, especially when I see newer players out. I'll take my deck that I just beat them in the face with, and then I'll say, I was thinking about this one or this one. What do you think about this? That way, hoping that they'll ask me that on the backswing. Hey, what about this deck? And then I can help them break down their deck. Yeah. I don't want to just grab somebody's deck and say, take this out, take this out, take this out, put this in, put this in. I want them to come to the community, come to me and say, hey, so fear of embarrassment, put yourself out there in the community. There are people in most communities, you said you had a pretty terrible one.
We cleaned it up a little bit.
Okay. But yeah, and that's what you need to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are toxic players, and you have to be like, look, you are a toxic player. Please stop talking. Please just stop saying anything. You have to stop. You are damaging our community. And so if you're somebody that's, a leader of your community, please actively do that. Stop the toxic players. And if you see somebody that they look like they want to get better at Magic, they're not just a kitchen table person. When they lose the game, they actually shrink their shoulders down and they look defeated. Help them out. Help them take their deck and show them what they're doing. Help the person who's too embarrassed. Those are the three that I've noticed, Gary.
Oh man. For other people, I guess for yourselves as well.
It can be for any limiting factor you've seen to people's success.
Because I like to just learn based on playing more.
Okay.
I do listen to limited. Matter of fact, I've been listening to limited resources this week more than anything. If a article catches my eye, like there was, like some of them, I'm like, okay, I already know all that. Some of them, I'm like, that's interesting, but maybe I need, and I know some of it, but maybe I need to hear it again to be reiterated. I have no shame when it comes to I'll ask, hey man, I don't mind people showing me stuff, and I may disagree, but I noticed with a lot of newer players, some of them want to learn from experience, and if you tell them, they just won't believe it until they just get hammered over and over again, and then it clicks. And some people do listen, but the understanding why, I think, is the biggest thing, because if they're just doing it because somebody told them to, then they're not really learning anything.
Okay.
My biggest issue, not something that I've struggled with before, but I hope I've gotten better with, is stubbornness. It's like especially when you're starting to you're first starting to get better at the game. You start realizing things you did better, and you think you're in a better place. Mm-hmm. And then someone comes on like, you're doing this wrong, and you're like, why am I doing this wrong?
Yeah, who are you to tell me?
Who are you to tell me? You're just the guy that beats me 6 days out of the week, And then you're like, well, and the issue is what I've started to do is when someone says, hey, why aren't you doing this? I'm like, well, why do you think that? Or something very much like you said, I'll post things on the BAFDraft forums and stuff like that. Well, I'll post a question and be like, hey, what are you guys' thoughts on this? Here's what I think. And I may think these things, but I don't even know if I'm right.
Right.
I just want to know what everyone else's opinions on and what their reasons behind those, so I can have a better understanding of it. Because I don't think that one person alone can improve. You can't improve on your own. It's very, very difficult. You need advice. You need resources.
Yeah, bouncing thoughts off people.
Yeah, you guys have pretty much hit them all on the head, and I think one of the big limiting factors for us is, besides people like Gary, we're all fairly young men, and unfortunately, testosterone and things like that, and we're not very open, to most things. And even when you get beat down really, really bad, you're not wanting to hear anything about why you just got beat so badly.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to sit there and put your ego back behind you and be like, all right, what did I do wrong? Where did I make the fatal mistake, and how do I fix it? And so having that ability to sit there and be a little more open, I think is probably, especially for me personally, is one of the biggest things that limits me from getting past the point where I'm at now. That and hating blue. Because unfortunately, despite numerous emails and letters to Wizards of the Coast, they're still making blue better in limited and standard formats, and so I just have to deal with it, I guess.
You're gonna have to opt in.
Probably not. Maybe when Merfolk come out and everybody's super hyped about dinosaurs, and I'm super hyped about dinosaurs, but I know everybody else is, and I'll just steal all the Merfolk. Probably not, but it is a possibility.
Merry Christmas.
Just because I don't want to be the bottom of the barrel. That's just not where I'm comfortable. It doesn't make me a happy person.
Okay.
I'm a very sad panda when I lose.
It's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
The desire to do better is going to be stronger than my ego because I get really tired of losing.
And that's something you have to, self-evaluation.
Yeah, which is very hard. And like I said, just being open to, to the possible changes and things, you know, that I'm doing wrong that might have worked in the past, it's not working now. So being able to adapt and take that advice from people who know better is probably the biggest thing that I see.
Okay. Awesome. Well, since we're a perfect podcast and never get anything wrong at all.
Absolutely.
Don't message us on Twitter. Don't tell us what we did wrong. No, actually.
If you don't get help here, get help somewhere.
Okay. All right. This week in recap.
I'm gonna hit you. Gary.
So starting with Sunday, because we had a normal week this time.
We actually did, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do any kind
Well,
of craziness.
semi-normal. There were some other,
Well,
extracurricular things that were not normal, but
no, I just mean as far as our podcast recording time.
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
We jacked it up last time.
One time.
well,
I'm
that's
just
all. That's all it takes, buddy.
And
These
then-
people
and
are
then-
expecting
It's a
us.
slippery slope.
Yeah, it becomes a slippery slope.
As we're recording this, I still haven't got the video out from last week.
Yeah.
What you're supposed to say is the video got corrupted. I did everything I could.
No, I was
We
just.
had to redo the podcast.
I had to redo the All right, so on Sunday, I went and played Commander. I was on definite team leave early. I think I left earlier than even you.
Yeah, you left about an hour before I did.
Oh, it was great. I loved it. I had a lot of fun. I plan on doing a repeat tomorrow. Team leave early. So that's that's what I did on Sunday. And I think I was using I was using your deck.
You
Right?
used
Yeah.
my Brawl mono blue control EDH
Yeah,
deck.
yeah. Scooped real early when dude comboed out, and I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done.
To be fair, he was right.
Okay. Flowers.
I ended up trying some of the new pre-con commander decks. I tried the vampire one.
Oh, how was that?
It was actually fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, the vampires works ridiculously fast. Even when you're kind of hurting for one color of mana, you can still be pretty effective.
And was it 100% pre-con or was it updates?
No, yeah, it's 100%.
Okay.
The only thing he'd done is put it in sleeves. And I mean, it works really well. The power level is definitely pretty high.
Okay.
And I played against his cat deck, and I mean, unless he had a couple things that made them all indestructible and hexproof, like they're very well evenly matched.
Okay.
But there definitely is a lot of fun, and I can see a couple of things that can be improved. But I mean, for the most part, those things are pretty competitive right out of the box.
And
from what I saw.
Okay. I should say that what we do is for this week in recap is we go through every day of the week and basically say what we did for the week.
I figured that much.
Yeah. Because I know you listen to our podcast all the
Yeah,
time. I know
absolutely.
exactly what this week. Okay. Gary,
I was either working or sleeping.
sleeping, love it.
Yeah.
Anything on Sunday?
So after you guys all left, we played the broken EDH decks. And we played actual 4-person, all 4 pre-con. And it was incredibly fun.
Okay.
I got my hands on the wizard one, which is my favorite, because I like wizards and Grixis.
Right.
Let's be real here. And it's blue. We had the cat guy swing out for 30 damage on one turn. The dragon guy played the dragon that makes everyone else destroy it wipes the
Crux
board.
of Fate.
Okay.
No, it's a dragon.
Oh.
Black dragon comes in, wipes the board.
Yeah.
And then he played the card that made everyone else get a copy of it.
Oh my.
So they came in, saw each other, blew up the board again.
Oh wow.
That's awesome.
And then the game ended up ending with the vampires player wiping out the other 2 and leaving me on 5 life. And he had drawn out. And Drana says you pretty much pay a bunch of mana and give a creature -0, -X, that kills it.
Yeah.
And then she gets +X, -0.
Okay.
So he was going to use that to swing out for lethal against me. He targeted my 1 legendary creature, and in response to the target, I used the mirror entity to copy the legendary creature and sacked that creature to the legendary roll.
Oh, so he didn't even
So
get
it
it.
fizzled it, and he didn't get the plus, and he couldn't swing for lethal because he attacked and then did the trigger, which is the correct way to do it, I think.
Right.
And so I left me open for 1 turn, and it was like top deck, board wipe, let's
Nice.
go. So I ended
Okay.
up just clutching it out, and it was the longest, most grindy 2.5 hour commander game ever.
Wow.
It
Gross.
was lovely.
But it was interactive.
Oh,
It wasn't you
interactive.
waiting for slow play.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
There was
I don't mind a long game if I'm not waiting for slow play.
If it's a lot of action and fun, yes.
My commander had been cast 6 times, and I think the dragon one was on 5, and that's a 20 almost a 20 mana commander.
Okay.
That was
You got
It's
nothing
9
on
normal.
that.
9 normally, right?
9.
Yeah.
So it was at
Yeah.
19.
19. It was nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, you got nothing on Omnath, though. I mean, what's the record? 23?
Yeah.
The casting cost of 23 for Omnath?
Oh yeah.
because how many times they'd killed it, and then I still won.
It's like that game you guys got me to negative 600 life and the Platinum Angel out.
Yeah.
All right, so Monday we didn't do anything.
No.
Did you do anything on Monday?
No.
No. Okay. So yeah, we only get a day off, and I know other people do things outside of that. So
I sleep
on
sometimes.
Tuesday, we had Blaine's game. Did you read what I wrote?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna need your help out here because for me, what happened is I had Mario, Rabbid Peach, and Luigi, and basically we just kept losing in the same level, like this ice level, over and over again. And then suddenly I was like, "Oh wait, we're playing D&D. That's right."
Yeah.
And I fast forwarded probably like an hour and a half into the game. So you want to lead to how it started? I have no idea how it started.
I'm just happy because I almost saw a Nintendo Switch become a Nintendo Boomerang. He must have nearly slammed that thing down 10 times. He was like, "Oh my word!" He'd put it down. He'd wipe his hands. He's like, he'd take a breath and go back, and he'd like look up and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I rolled this dice," and then he'd go right back to it. It was kind of a lost little thing at first because we basically came into the game and there was no direction. Like everything that we had followed had just dried up, and we were like, "Well, what do we do? Like there's no other leads, and there's nothing else going on. So how do we progress from here?" And everybody was just kind of looking at each other and be like, "I like waffles." So we eventually, I can't even remember because it was just such a.
We had 3 new players and we helped them make their characters.
Yes, that was a big part of it, and we eventually did run into them. We got a lead going to the Sacred Grove looking for.
And that's the thing too. I don't understand how we got from the city to looking for the Sacred Grove.
I think it was because we went through the papers that my deceased monk had stolen during our heist.
Oh, okay. And the paper said that they were going to burn the grove down, right? Destroy the elf city.
Yeah, they said
that
the elf city will fall, and that's inside the Sacred Grove. So we went looking for.
That makes sense. That's the missing part.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was missing for me because it was so just obtuse and buried in nonsense.
Read all the notes. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Any papers.
Uh-huh.
All right. So we basically were like, hey, we need to head over to this forest. We need a guide, though. And it just so happened, one of the 3 new players was playing a druid.
Yeah.
Who was from that forest.
Who also didn't speak.
Yeah, he was mute.
Yeah,
but he
he
wrote
was
things down,
mute.
which was fortunate.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he told us that he would navigate us to the Forbidden Forest.
To the city.
To the city.
He would take us to the grove. He wrote down there was some great disturbance in there, but he didn't know what it was.
Okay.
He just knew there was a disturbance. So we ended up finding the city, and the guards were being, typical elf guards, and be like,
so they wouldn't let us go visit the elders until we passed a trial.
yeah.
And the trial was to go find a flower.
Yeah. It
The
was,
classic fetch quest.
yeah.
I know a flower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some too. So yeah, we eventually found our way there and found this giant grove of flowers and picked the one, and then we got talked to, which still kind of makes me shake my head, but there's an owlbear that magically, I would assume magically appeared behind us.
He was the guardian of the grove.
Yeah, but
Is
he's
it a man
talking.
bear owl?
No, it was just an owlbear.
Owlbear.
No pig involved.
Yeah, no pig.
No pig, no man.
But yeah, so there's a talking owlbear, which is kind of throwing me for a loop as a metagamer, but I'm only level 4, so I've probably never seen one. So my initial reaction is probably going to breathe fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's an owlbear. It deserves it.
Yeah.
And he's not letting us leave.
Yeah, he said, no, these are my flowers or something or other, so we're going to find out what's going on with that.
Yeah, basically.
Everyone has a right to flowers.
And we didn't even get to attack it, because we was too late. So we rolled a dice. It was 50-50 to see whether we were going to leave early or fight this thing. We're not leave basically 10 minutes early or fight this thing. And we rolled the dice, and it was a natural 20.
It was nat 20, so
it was a natural 20,
Yeah,
and we were supposed to leave an hour ago. With a natural 20.
Because we had said we were going to cut out at 11, and here it was 10 to 12.
Well, I mean, the natural 20 means that we critically succeeded at leaving early. It was really funny.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. We're face to face with a talking owlbear.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah, new party members. It'll be interesting to go through that.
Hopefully
And,
they show back up.
yeah, hopefully
Because they came in at such a bad spot for new players because none of them have ever played D&D.
Oh my gosh.
And they're all looking at it like, well, what's going on?
and none of us knew what was going on.
Yeah, and
So
I mean,
we were lost. They were lost.
and they were just like, what are we doing? And none of us had character sheets because we didn't know they were going to show up.
Yep.
So they just had pieces of paper with stuff written all over it. So yeah, hopefully they show back up because otherwise we just got a free guide to the forest and then that's it.
So Wednesday, spin class was once again not spun,
Not due to anything on our end really.
but it was not.
Yeah, it
so
was
instead, we decided to do an Amonkhet seal. We joined you guys for your normal Wednesday Magic Amonkhet seal.
And it was a very impromptu on us. We all just.
Well, they normally are.
Well, no, but for us it was
Yeah,
weird
'cause
because
I
we had
had
drug
talked-
another person too.
I-
We had 4 of us come over.
I had talked to Gary and he was like, no, I'm just going to stay here. I'm not doing anything. And then I get back and me and you were talking and we were like, yeah, they're going to do a sealed event. And I was like, sealed event? I like sealed. And then I was like, Gary, come on, let's go. And you were like, let me go get Brandon. Ah, dang it. Let me go get him. and
He's good because we used his name last
oh,
week.
okay. So, yeah. And then away we went.
Yep. All right, so I drafted. It's sealed. So I opened and built a white, black, splashing blue, splashing green. It was like a zombie embalm deck. I splashed green for a trial and cartouche of strength, which was amazing. And I had a Teminate, which was amazing with the tokens. So it was a very, very grindy, fun match. Fun little deck there.
What colors was I? I was white because I know I had Gideon.
Yeah, I don't think I played you, so.
I did. All I remember was the white, maybe white green.
What did I have for green? I can't remember. I don't know why. Wednesday's too long ago, guys.
Too long ago. That's why I see like how I write it down.
Yeah, but he only writes for himself.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah,
What you're
selfish.
supposed. No, the idea is that you're supposed to reply to all with your updated information on there, but nobody ever does.
Oh, you didn't.
Was that in an email?
No, of course not. It's the itinerary. That's why it's a rough itinerary. You can edit whatever you want.
So I got
add.
too many implied tasks. I don't need any more.
Reading documents is hard. Remember that whole no time thing?
No.
Oh my! From like
See, I
several
remember that.
minutes ago.
Nah.
Okay. All right, what did you run?
I ended up running a standard black-white zombie.
It was scary. I
it-
got my bunghole pushed in.
It definitely. Well, I mean, one game you beat the heck out of me. Like it wasn't even fun.
It came down to who was on the play.
Yeah, I mean, you had the Tenement came out, and then you just kept recurring everything, and then they were all tokens, and we were like, oh, okay, I'm going to swing in the air. I'm going to swing in the air, and then the first and the third game I won, and I can't remember who I played the first game, and then I played you at the end.
You played
white.
me first game.
I was white, red, splash, black. That's what it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I had a Gideon in my deck, and then the rest was shambles of what I could put together.
Okay, so Gideon.deck.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's right. We did play first.
Yeah, I was red, green, blue. I tried to do white, didn't work. You destroyed me so fast.
Yeah.
Then the rest of the night, I destroyed my opponents, and then was just rooting for you to go win every time. And that's how I pulled off second.
There you
And
go.
didn't really earn it.
Yeah, I
What's
mean,
the best? Unearned second?
I still won the other 2 games.
I mean, like I said, when it came to Amonkhet, there was just so much synergy with a lot of the cards. And I mean, I didn't have any of the real power zombies. Like I didn't have any lords. I didn't have Liliana's mastery. I didn't have any of that. It was just a lot of zombies, and I think.
You had like 4 scorpions. The death
Oh yeah, I had
Yeah.
three of the
Gosh.
scorpions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
because
absurd.
that's what I counted as my removal. I had those, and then like 4 other spells. So it was just like, okay, here's a scorpion. Waste one of your useful spells on him, please do.
It was rough.
And then they were like, okay, I magma spray, and I was like, okay, scorpion, with that evil smile on my face, and and then the binding mummy came out, and that's when it really started getting silly because it was like, okay, tap that, swing in 5, tap that, swing in 4, and stuff like that.
in that monument that
Yeah.
makes 1/1
Oh, yeah,
warrior
yeah.
vigilance,
The
there were
Tetris
like a
monument.
lot of people who had that.
I
It seemed
had
to be
that,
the going
yeah.
theme.
You had 6 tokens out at one point?
At
maybe?
one point,
He had 5 on me.
But the funny thing is I never attacked with them. I think there was like two actual attacks where I used those for attackers.
But like,
In Matt's game, you were using them as your sack out.
Oh, yeah.
Cruel reality on you.
Cruel
Yeah,
reality.
crueled me, and I was like,
That was
okay.
a crazy game. Y'all's match were the most
yeah.
entertaining to watch.
Well, no, I mean, the first one with Gage, the only reason I won is because I left 2 creatures open, and if he would have had 1 more mana, he would have won that first game.
oh yeah, that's right. In
Because-
the second one, I didn't play a mana.
Yeah.
I made a play mistake with my Thresher Lizard. Didn't go down to 1 card, and
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was watching, and I was like, okay, he didn't get rid of that other card. That means this guy will live and that guy won't. And I was like, okay, I'll block here. And he was like, okay, they both die. I said, no. I was like, you have 2 cards in your hand. And he looked down and he goes, damn it. And I mean, yeah, that was really the biggest turning point in that one. And then it was gone from there.
it was still a rough game. It was all 3 games, or we played 2 games,
We
right?
just played 2.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
they
the
were
first
rough.
one was really scary. Like that one, I think I was down to 1 and you were down to like 5 and
Oh, yeah.
it came through. Yeah, that
Gideon-
one was really close.
Gideon just couldn't do it. It was
Yeah.
literally Gideon against the world that
Yeah,
game.
no, he would swing in every time with Gideon, and then it was just I got so much on the board, I went so wide, and I was just like,
Yeah.
at this point, I'm gonna end this before I die. So I was swinging out, losing creatures, dealing 2 and 3 to Gideon at a time, and then finally Gideon went down, and then that's where it ended.
He did a really good job of keeping a nice tempo of aggression against me, where I felt like I was always under pressure,
Okay.
but I still was forced to swing back.
Right, you had to get somewhere, but you're
Yeah.
still and that's the worst is when you're like, I have to end this game, but I also have to fend myself, and then what can I? Yeah, that's
Yeah, it was not pretty.
Yeah,
all right.
liked
So,
it.
and that was a lot of fun. You know, like Gary said, it was impromptu for some of us. Thursday, it was a D&D night again for us.
Yeah.
So Thursday, so the game started off with the nightmares haunted the entire guild hall, and basically we spent the next several days trying to figure out what was causing the nightmares, which we failed to do.
Yep.
Never actually find the source of that. It was some kind of outside psychic source,
what?
like a psychic intrusion on our mind.
No, not psychic. That's not existing in this world.
It was some. No, I'm just saying. It wasn't. It wasn't.
It's not a magical in means, and it affected the whole city because
Yeah. We had people go out and explore to see how far reaching the nightmares were.
yeah, and they walked for 45 minutes talking to people in one direction, and they were still saying, yeah, some bad stuff happened.
The
So
scariest part was the nightmares were con based, not wisdom, intelligence, or charisma based. So
yeah,
it was basically how tough we were, not how smart we were.
yeah,
So it was more like a poison than anything else.
and all of us failed at least once.
Did you obviously check the water?
None of us were actually drinking any of the sourced
No.
water.
Nope.
Yeah, that was that was a different game we were playing, and it was the water. It actually was
it's always
the
the
water.
water.
Anyway, so finally, our cleric decided to cast, or got to the point where we were like, screw this. He spent a whole day, an actual 24 hours,
yeah.
casting Hallow on the sleeping area.
Yep.
And then we decided, okay, that's good enough. We never really checked to see if it actually was good enough.
Nope.
And we never slept there again. We were like, screw this, we're out.
Yeah. Well, we had to. Every time we stop and be like, all right, well, we need to prepare and take our time and do this, and then the world is like, nope,
Another
nope.
plot hook
Yeah,
happens.
something
But it's
happens.
it's not like the plot is pushing us forward. It's more like pushing us to a grinding halt every time.
Yeah. So
It's really funny.
it's
We basically just leapt through the teleport thing. We're like, no, you can't catch us, plot. You can't catch us. And we jumped through the portal. We're like, we're not going to get stuck by, some dragon attacking the city. We're just going to go to the next area.
yeah, pretty much.
So we met up with the next areas. It was one of our closer allies, guild halls, up north. And she was like, oh, welcome. We've been expecting you guys like 3 days ago, probably at this point.
Yeah.
And so she was like, okay, but we're going to meet tonight. Go out and explore our town that you've been to once or twice before. Experience it now as current, if you will, PCs, not as the NPCs we used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go find out more about that artifact sword that we had found. The artifact belonged to a paladin who killed a great worm in the Great North. Lots of greats there. And so, being that this is the most northern guild, I was like, maybe they'll have the most relevant stories, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So, I went off to go do that. And then your guy
yeah, we kind of split up in the town, and then I noticed you had a stalker, and I went and confronted her, and she's, her parents were killed or in a robbery, which is really weird, and ended up meeting with her and trying to steer her back towards the good path rather than getting murdered by a war cleric in the middle of town.
But the dark side is cookies.
Yeah, I can make cookies.
And he's a cleric of Torm.
Yeah, so it is a good time. So yeah, I mean, we went out to, I think it was the Druid Circle, because they're the biggest repository of knowledge in the area.
Yeah, I went to the school, didn't find the information I was looking for there. Even looking for rumors, nothing. Nothing really. So we went to the Druid Circle. I met up with you guys because you basically assumed that that's where my character would go.
Yeah.
And it was where my character went. And then not even out of game. Like, it wasn't even like we were having a conversation out of game. I was just like, I want to go where info is. And you're like, I'll bet he wants to go to the stupid druid people.
Yeah, because, I mean, the backstories of our characters, I mean, we've been together for many years. I think we're both over 200 years old in character. So, probably 75 to 100 years that we've been doing dumb stuff together. Now, there was a funny moment during the nightmare thing that you actually had a kind of a creepy moment, because you sent me the backstory, because the backstories are kind of intertwined, and I had done something, and I hadn't read the backstory yet, but the thing that I had done is something that I had done in the backstory that he wrote for us. Remember when the wake up thing?
Yeah. So I was in the backstory. His character came in. Oh, so the backstory was my character was having these terrible nightmares, and it was actually leaking out into the guild itself and causing damage to all the people around me. Like, this is years ago. So his character basically comes in and what do you call it? Just
took my glaive.
Yeah, took the glaive and just the butt end hit my face, and my character fell out of bed. To wake me up, he did not care about being. He was just like, "You're gonna wake up!" Boom. So in the game we're currently playing, his character goes to grab my character and begins shaking him. I had a contingency spell that as soon as I get attacked, it creates an illusion, and then I become invisible and fall off to the side. And so he grabbed the illusion dies. Yeah, the illusion dies the most horrific way based on how I'm being attacked. So as he's shaking the thing, my head snaps and I go completely limp in his arms. So while one of the other PCs is watching this entire thing, going, "You just killed him," and I'm hiding under the bed like, hee.
Yeah, because I mean, basically, I walked into his room, and because he had actually made his save, so he was still asleep. So I grabbed him, all 40 some pounds of him, and lifted him up with one arm and shook him and said, "Hey, wake up!" And his neck snaps, and then I just look at it for a second, and I sigh, and I'm like, "All right, where you at? This has happened before."
Yeah.
And I just throw the dead body back on the bed, and then what did you turned it into a zombie?
I had it come stand up. Why'd you kill me? With a zombie-fied face, and
which totally freaks out the other player.
Yeah, because they had no idea. Their characters had no idea what was going on, and it was an illusion the whole time.
That's glorious.
Yeah. And it was just funny because that had happened in the backstory, and I never read it, and it was just I did the exact same thing.
So I basically nailed your character.
Yeah.
Nailed how your character would have done it.
More or less.
So then, while we were visiting there, our monk decided to go off and have a drinking No, it wasn't a drinking contest. He wanted to have the participants bring him the best beverage that they had made, and he was going to judge it. And he decided that the whiskey was the best.
Yeah, he said the whiskey was the best.
And this is because he's actually immune to poison, and since being drunk is considered, like being intoxicated...
Alcohol is a poison.
Is a poison, his character cannot actually get drunk. So his was entirely based on flavor. And he liked the one that was spicy. Had a spicy kick to it. Yeah. And then our ranger decided to stalk around in trees, all rangery-like.
Yeah.
Very, very rangery, hanging out.
Yeah.
And that was our game. So I'm excited to see what the Druids had to say, and I'm excited about the fact that we're actually outside of the guild.
Yeah,
that is probably
as long as nothing pulls us back in.
And so it probably will. There'll probably be a
we're getting the tap and the point from Gary, so it's time to not talk about the podcast some more.
All right,
podcast time.
Friday, skipping over Friday, we did our Friday Night Magic last night. We did the Amonkhet hour Amonkhet, and I drafted a. I'm no longer going to draft the. I don't think it's a viable strategy. Is the white green go wide deck? Just did not. I don't think it's viable. I don't think it's a good shell. I don't think it's a good archetype. Yeah, so you and I actually played in the finals,
Yeah.
and I got so mana screwed it was ridiculous.
It's a classic. What happens when we play each other?
And it's not like I cut land.
No.
I still was running my 17, and I just could not find a third land to save my life.
I think
Literally and figuratively.
I think every time I've played you, one game you'll be like, yeah, my mana's on point, all my stuff is on curve, I win, and then both other games you're just like, well, I got 2 lands in my opener, my mole, I got 2 lands again, I guess I'll keep it, I don't draw a land for this game.
And I think so. It wasn't as bad as that one game we played where I drew like 7 cards into my deck and still didn't get them.
At least 7.
And this one, I got to 3 lands and then I still lost because
the board state was too bad.
Yeah, so that was my deck and it was terrible. Flowers.
I was trying to run a red-green ramp into big things. Unfortunately, I only had 3 big things, and I think 3 total pieces of removal. So my night went about as expected. I got the bye, which was my only victory. Yeah, and I think I went 0-4 the whole way. So it was just I picked wrong, and unfortunately, with the way that I still mentally broken and try to force picks, it made for better decks for everybody else.
Gary?
I did seems like a new theme. I played the first place player first. Barely, this time I barely lost. And then, but I did 3-color. I've been doing this 3-color thing a lot.
Okay.
So I went blue, green, black. Big stuff, ramp into it. But I had one card that was kind of like if I pretty much most of the games I won was with it. Was the something Hailfire? What's it called?
Tormented Hailfire.
Yeah, with great effect.
Nice.
I loved casting it for 6 and 7. And then I beat you the first game, but didn't. It was next.
Oh, yeah.
It was coming up, and then the third game we played, I had you down to 2 life. You did all this tricky blue crap, and then you only had like 10 creatures in your deck, and you happened to get 2 of them out. I couldn't get anything but land.
Yeah.
I did some little move. My next card was going to be the Hailfire Torment. Or Torment and Hellfire, and you've got me, man. It was so close, so close.
Nice.
I got super lucky this draft. I think it's
So I introduced him.
Oh,
I
you
introduced him.
Oh.
And I'm going to introduce our Friday Night Magic champion, Gage, actually on the podcast to brag about his first place win. So go on.
Not only did I take first, but I played all 3 of you guys.
Yes.
First, second, third, ninth.
Last, yeah.
There were 7 people there. No, I'm just messing with you.
Absolutely.
Actually, I think you got you didn't get last. You got next last.
The other guy got just below.
So yeah, coming into the draft, like I had not drafted. I wanted to draft Blue Red Spells because I thought it was. I'd never played the deck before, but I thought it was one of the strongest themes in the format. Is Blue Red just spell slinging, and so I was like, man, if it's open, I'm gonna do it. And so first pack, open it up, Hour of Devastation. I'm like, easy pack 1, pick 1.
Okay.
Doom. And then pack 2 had a lot of good cards, like Hour of Glory, some good black removal, not a lot of red, but it had Spellweaver Eternal, which is the Afflict 2 mana 2/1.
With prowess.
With prowess. And I was like, okay, blue red spells, let's go.
And you just went from there.
And I was the only other blue drafter at the table of 7 people?
No, I did blue.
Yeah, but you were like side.
Yeah.
You weren't even main blue.
No.
I had almost
so you weren't a blue drafter.
I had first, second, and third picks on almost
I
all.
passed Pool from
all
Tomorrow as it slung around the table, and you picked it like almost one of the last picks.
Yeah.
It was. I had like like. This is how good it was. I was on pack 3, and it was my It was probably like he opened it, so it was 4 picks down, and it was foil Cryptic Serpent versus Pull from Tomorrow.
Wow.
And I was like, okay,
Both?
so I'm in blue.
Just the whole pack?
Yeah. So I ended up taking Pulse from Tomorrow. And the deck I got all the premium blue spells. I had, I think, 13 spells, 10 creatures.
Yeah.
But, like, I wield Enigma Drake, like, things like that.
Oh, wow.
And
Jeez,
I got the 2 guys that make my other things flyers. So flying a Spellweaver or Eternals is, pretty good. And then the deck is... If you go to late game, you get a pull from tomorrow, you just draw 7 cards, and you're like, this game's not going very far.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you really worked it.
It worked. I think Gary was like... I thought it was over. I played Gary, he beat me so bad the first game, I was just like, okay, I guess we'll play the second and third game if there is one, but it's over. But, like, it just... it happened.
The deck finally came together.
Yeah, it just happened, and then
Nice.
playing this game was just unfortunate. And then playing this game, Rob, I had really good
Oh yeah,
hands, just
no, I mean so
wonderful hands.
Yeah, no, and I mean so did Gary. I mean I think he turned 5 torment of hailfire for me for like 5 or 6,
Oh yeah, that's brutal.
and then the next game it was like turn 5, that big hexproof crocodile into the flying guy or the same. When it attacks, gives flying, and then the turn after that was that 7/7 trample, scry 3, gain that much life, and I still hadn't touched him. I was like, yeah, no, I'm done. And that was just the way it went. So
And that just happens. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I got really lucky because I wanted to pick a certain theme and it was open. So like that's a luck part of it, right? And then
Yeah.
playing those games against Gary, we could have played that game that matchup 3 times, and I could have lost that the other 3 times.
Right.
yeah, I mean you were literally 1 creature away from losing, and Gary pulled lands 4 turns in a row because I was standing there watching. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I thought that game was over, and was like, okay, I guess it's over, but I still played the game. And just
Yeah.
like we said earlier, you got to still play the game.
Yep. Awesome.
Yep.
So it was great having last thoughts from the winner. Gary, you want to take us out?
Yep, that's it for episode 62. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You can follow us at _BAFDraft on Twitter and check us out on Facebook.com/TheBAFDraft. And of course, you can go to SoundCloud or YouTube and look up The BAFDraft to check out our podcast there. So we're tapping out, huh?
Did you say iTunes?
I did say. Did I say iTunes? I thought I said iTunes.
No, I didn't.
What did I say? YouTube.
YouTube.
Oh, YouTube is right up here, and then the link is down below if you're listening. So, but yeah, iTunes, you can look up the BAFDraft as well. So, hey, we're tapping out, and we'll see and talk to you next week.